The Roman Empire is one known for its humongous landmass and powerful military. United through its strong leadership, Rome's impact on the world is still important today. Based around the Mediterranean Sea, Rome had many geographical advantages. The city was founded on a series of hills, which provides an obvious natural protection. The hills could be used as vantage points to spot any oncoming attacks. As the city was located on the Mediterranean, there was more opportunity for trade, especially on the Silk Road. Trade allowed for the exchange of ideas, but was also necessary to sustain the large Roman Empire's economy. Eventually, the lack of good exchange became an issue, but this wasn't the only thing that wasn't good. Their empire became so large that there were many factors all driving towards a downfall. When you conquer multiple other groups, you are bound to become diverse. Because of this, it became hard to govern over a region so large with so many differences. The Romans also faced division not only between people, but between social classes. The patricians were the higher aristocracy, while the plebeians were the lower scrubs. The main issue concerning the two classes was a severe inequality involving politics and general rights. A group known as the Senate, which consisted of patricians, consulted the main emperor of Rome and often only took into account their wants and needs, disregarding the plebeians. While there was still some negatives in the Roman Empire, it featured a variety of positives. The Roman had many new inventions, such as aqueducts, domes, and Julian calendar. The size of the Roman territory and military was one to be remembered throughout the ages. Their military consisted of legions, which were advanced fighters that were near impossible to match.
Greece, the civilization that preceded Rome, was known less for their military strength and more for their intellectual strength. They influenced much of Rome, including their architecture, religion, and military. Greece was a very influential culture for their time. Like many empires, Greece consisted of city-states that ruled themselves. Two of these city-states are Athens and Sparta. Athens was an intellectual powerhouse, where education took top priority. Athens was home to philosophers such as Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and many more. These men introduced philosophical thought to the West, and continue to teach us today. Sparta, on the other hand, focused solely on military. They raised only the strongest of children and put them through rigorous training to turn them into soldiers. Athens and Sparta didn't always get along, but when they did, they were strong enough to defeat the Persian Empire. After the era of classical city-states arose possibly the best military leader of all time, Alexander of Macedonia. He led the Macedonian army to an empire that stretched from Egypt to India. This empire continues to impress the people of today. Greece was also innovative with a very interesting architectural style. They used columns and geometric shapes to create beautiful buildings. Many buildings in ancient Greece, like the Parthenon. These columns became Greece's trademark and were so successful that the Romans used them often, and we still see them today. Many of these Greek buildings were built for religious purposes. Greece used a polytheistic religion consisting of 12 Olympic major gods and lots of miscellaneous minor gods. This religion was carried on throughout the Roman Empire after Greece's prime. The Romans used a very similar religion, but changed the names of the gods and did slightly different to fit their civilization. Another lasting influence left by Greece is the Olympic Games. These originated in Olympus, Greece, and featured many sports, including boxing, wrestling, running, discus, javelin, jumping, and horse racing. Today, we still have the Olympic Games every 2 years, which continues to be the biggest sporting event in the world. Greece has left many influences on us, and especially Rome. Our society would not be the same without them.
Before we begin to talk about Greece and Rome's connection on the Silk Road, it's worth noting that the Greek Empire became a part of the Roman Empire in what historians believe to be around 146 BC. It is also believed that the Romans didn't reach China with trade caravans until 166 AD. Due to these two facts, it's easy to understand that a lot of the historical records would only include information on Rome on the Silk Road. Rome was perhaps the most important civilization to influence the Silk Road and to be influenced by the Silk Road. This is because of the spread of Christianity that moved from Jerusalem to Rome. This began one of the largest transformations in Roman history, as the Holy Roman Empire began to spread Christianity faster than it could have otherwise spread. Also, Rome had positive relations with China. Their large empire was full of consumers longing for the Chinese goods such as silk and paper. They thought so highly of silk that the historian Durant writes, "The Romans thought silk a vegetable product combed from trees and valued it at its weight in gold." One of the empires involved in the trade between Rome and China was the Parthians. The Parthians were, in other words, the middleman. Located between the two empires, a trader had to travel through Parthia to get to one civilization to the other. To get through, they were required to pay a fee. Parthia got the sweet end of the deal. Still, Rome exported things like carpets, jewels, amber, metals, dyes, drugs, and glass to China. It remains true that the Romans bought more than they sold. While all of the trade with China seemed good, there was still some unwanted things that were being moved. What is being referenced is disease. It is believed that certain diseases, such as the bubonic plague, made its way into the Roman Empire through the Silk Road. It ripped through, killing hundreds of thousands. The plague had an extremely high death rate that, in effect, caused shortages of labor. Many historians would even argue that the plague was one of the leading factors to the Roman decline.
Rome was an important part of the Silk Road because of their consumption on the road. The Roman Empire's people were very prominent traders. They dominated the trade through the Mediterranean and had high consumer needs. They brought in pepper, cinnamon, and other spices, but also silk. Silk was in such high demand that some Roman merchants would take silk and unravel the densely woven fabrics from China and reweave them into thin fabrics that were nearly see-through. Still, Rome exported goods. Glassware, jewelry, works of art, decorative items, perfumes, bronze goods, wool, and linen textiles, pottery, iron, tools, olive oil, wine, and gold, and silver bullion. These items were traded throughout the empire and eventually out of the empire via the Silk Road trade routes. Some of these goods made it all the way to China. Greece was arguably not as important as Rome on the Silk Road, though there is not much to be said about them other than their spread of Hellenistic thought and culture. Hellenistic means to speak Greek or identify with the Greeks. An example of a city that was impacted by Hellenistic thought was Alexandria, Egypt. Originally established by Alexander the Great, the city was the largest center of commerce in Hellenistic civilization. The streets were lined with Greek statues, buildings dedicated to the Greek gods, and even Alexander's gravesite. In other cities, too, the Greeks spread ideas, too. Things like philosophy and their concepts of math and science spread also. Although incorrect, their ideas of astronomy with the Earth at the center of our solar system was accepted and shared throughout different regions.